And welcome back to the Nose Plays Thea 2 The Shattering with the Wrath of the Sea DLC. Today is going to be a little bit different video than the last 4-hour stream that I did. That was just me kind of getting in and playing around and explaining a lot of the mechanics. And I do want to explain some of the mechanics because I think that's probably what my channel is best known for, is explaining parts of games that other people just don't get a lot of exposure to, don't learn about, don't hear about. And so I've discovered some details, some little things that are very helpful, potentially, to your playthroughs of Thea 2 in particular. I never actually played Thea 1, to be honest. I heard it's a really good game, but never got around to that one. This one I am absolutely loving. I put a lot of hours into it. I got some more God points to spend. I've also had some very frustrating challenges at times that I'll talk a little bit about. But we're going to start a new game, and I'm going to do a very similar one to the loadout we started the other night before my furry friend so rudely interrupted me to the point that I had to stop the video midstream. Hopefully that doesn't happen today. I have the situation a little bit better under control. So let's go ahead and get into a single player. We're going to start a new game. And I'm going to go ahead and use Stribog again. I've been attempting to do something, and maybe we'll get a chance to explore it a little bit more, but one of the major elements that was added to the Wrath of the Sea DLC is the ability to basically use a large sailing ship as a mobile village. And that's something that I want to explore a little bit more. I've sort of tested it out, but not very well. So I definitely want to get into doing that some. And then there's a few mechanics that I want to explore. You can see I got 11 God points now, so I've played quite a few playthroughs and failed quite a few times, but I'm having a real blast playing this game. And so today we're going to do maybe 1 to 2 hours. Let me check what time it is, just so I know how long I've been on here. Okay. We'll do 1 to 2 hour live stream today, and then this video will go up and be the first in a series of videos that I'm hoping to do on Thea 2. And then we'll just see how much interaction I get from the community, how much you guys are enjoying this. But I'm enjoying the heck out of this game, as I knew I would when I watched SB play it. So it's just a lot of fun. And let's just get right into it. So, this is the group that I use, which I think is pretty much just the auto-select group. I have unlocked a few other things. This one's real interesting that I think I want to mess with at some point. Groups traveling by sea receive 2 fish each turn. And I think there's some exploits you can do, some exploity type things you can do with this. If you have enough rafts, you can get a lot of fish for your party, potentially. So we'll see how that works out at some point. But I'm not going to use that today because I really want this card. I want the Craftsman because we're going to build a really nice ship, hopefully. And I learned something very painfully in my last playthrough where I was on the verge of developing a very, very nice ship. And something happened that I'll explain once we get into the game that was devastating to that playthrough. So we'll get to that, but I need this character class early on so that I can start leveling him up. I could also take it with this, so I could get a craftsman if I take jumping fish, but then I would have to give up one of these things, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to do that just yet. One thing that's interesting though is that jumping fish doesn't cost a point, so it doesn't cost one of our trait points. These are called trait points, and then God points unlock cards. I think I misspoke in my last video regarding that at one point. I don't think I'm gonna spend any of my God points. I don't have anything I'm really excited about. Elves. I would like to maybe try an elven character or something, but these are really expensive. An elf druid, 25 points. That's gonna take a while. An elf child's only 10. But family armor is interesting. Eagle Eye's kind of interesting. Vision is really important in this game. especially in the early game when you're scouting. I'm aware that there are some unique things that the rat character class can do. I'm not sure that I'm interested in exploring that in this playthrough. In turn 1, you will see 5 hexes further than normal. Additionally, you start with 20 basic mats. I actually like this a lot. Maybe we take this instead of one of these two. The pet crow and some gems was nice. Basic food and 1 piece of equipment is nice. Let's get rid of this one. And let's replace it with the Fog of Knowledge card. I need to unlock it. There we go. Okay. Fog of Knowledge, there we go. Let's go ahead and throw that in there. This will give us 20 basic mats. We might get some gems in that, we might get some other mats, but that'll be good. So we'll start with some materials, some wood, and we'll get some extra information at the very beginning of the game to help us decide which direction we want to explore in. So I don't know this for sure, but my suspicion is that your start in this game is not as critical as in a lot of other 4Xs. And what I mean by that is being like hyper efficient at the very, very beginning of the game. While it can set you up for a really good mid-game, I don't think it's super critical to your ability to survive and have a good experience and have a pretty decent and long game. I think you can do it even with a not perfect start and a not perfect efficiency, even on this difficulty and maybe on the harder one as well. I haven't played a lot on the hardest difficulty yet, but as I've learned the mechanics of the game better, and I've gotten better at playing the combat, and I've gotten better at making decisions, I'm starting to notice that the severity, even in the step up from easy, normal difficulty, whatever it's called, is not as bad. So we'll see if that plays out. I have had a few situations where I literally started on the starting island with like no wood. There was no wood anywhere. And that was devastating. That actually completely crippled my ability to play. But for the most part, I haven't run into those types of scenarios too often. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the game. We got to pick our chosen as our craftsman. And I like this one. I like this picture. And I like this picture. I think we're going to go with this guy today. And we'll give him the right name, the nose. He doesn't have a very big nose, but it'll work. And then we're going to play with just the default islands and medium size. And jump right into this. I love the artwork for this game. There's a lot of artwork. One of the things that's been pointed out in a number of other Let's Players videos and in just general is that there are like some distinct differences in some of the artwork where like two characters that are like the same race, and we're going to skip a lot of this. Two characters that might be of the same race look very differently in the artwork. I think that has to do with the fact that they kept some of the early access, like alpha artwork for the game, concept artwork for the game, and then they updated it with a whole new set of artwork, but they just kind of put them together, and that's why you have like some very distinct differences in the art style for different characters and different classes. I've heard a rumor or heard somewhere that that's why that is the case. So if you see a goblin and then you see another goblin that looks way different, that's probably why. Well, this is unfortunate. We've got all this area that we can see, but almost none of it's actually land. Huh. Well, I guess it's a good thing we have the raft, but I was hoping to get a lot more useful information from this start. Before we do anything else, let's go ahead and turn on resources, and that's even more disappointing. We didn't uncover any resources, so we have no information. And really, the only direction that we could have traveled is the direction we're going to have to travel. Like, the whole point of getting this was so that I knew up front whether going north, south, east, or west was sort of the right call. This provides me no useful information at all. Let's hope that it provided me a little bit more useful materials. Let's check out our inventory. So we have some leather and a little bit of steel. We also have some wood, which I think we got the wood from Theodore, so we didn't even get that. So where's the rest of my mats? I guess I was only supposed to start with 20 extra, huh? So it's probably this here. Okay, well, we got a nice little pile of food here. One of the very first things that I like to do at the very beginning of the game, before I get too far into it, is I want to turn off these two food types. And the reason I want to turn off these two, and maybe a few others, depending on what you start with, is these are the ones that you can use to craft food at the beginning of the game. And by taking these mats and crafting them into food, you not only increase your morale gain by having different types of food, but it also increases your food total. Because the amount of mats consumed, the amount of food consumed, is smaller than the amount of food created. So cooking food actually extends your food supply. And so that's why I prefer to turn these off. So this is a real important thing you can do. Come here and manage which foods get eaten. And anytime you get food sources that are part of your cooking recipes, you may want to manage that. Also, let's go ahead and uncheck this box. If we get any rare woods, we don't want to be using them as fuel, at least in the early game. If we happen to run out of this, we can come back here and enable them individually and burn up our dryad wood or dark wood or whatever we need to survive if that gets to be a problem. I can already tell that it could be because we have 10 wood and we have no wood in sight and we have extra vision, and so this is a concern. I have some thoughts on how we might tackle that concern. The second thing I want to do is look at equipment. And one of the things that I like to do at the very, very beginning of the game is just pull the equipment off of everybody. It's just unequip. Let's go. There we go. Not sure what that was about. Pull the equipment off of everybody. Really? Come on. Seems like my computer's sort of chugging here. Okay. Well, let's try pulling something else off. He really doesn't want to let go of that. There we go. Pull all of the equipment, all of the armor, all of the gear, and then let's just go look through our stats and see who might be the best suited for what weapons. So this is one of my gatherers. She has pretty high perception and pretty high wisdom. One of my children, this is the hunter apprentice. So the children that you start with at the beginning of the game have slightly better stats. One of them is statted to be a potential hunter, and one of them is statted to be a potential warrior. And I think if you mouse over, it even says, yeah, warrior apprentice and hunter apprentice. So those are semi-unique character classes. Slightly better stats there. We have slightly better wisdom and strength on this character. This is our main character. He starts with a lot of strength, which is nice, and a lot of wisdom. Pretty mediocre on the rest of his stats. And then our last gatherer, okay with perception, slightly better in intelligence. Actually, this is just an inferior gatherer. 354433 364. Yeah, just an inferior character. Well, that's unfortunate. So we got some bad rolls on this character stats. So that being the case, probably want her equipped with the bow, or the best bow-like weapon that we have. It looks like this one's slightly better, so that's what they gave her, so that's good. We'll put the crossbow on the other gatherer. His perception was okay, so that'll give him a reasonable attack. And then this character is going to be our tank, so we want the best armor on him, whatever our best armor is. It looks like it's going to be this. And we may just end up re-equipping these guys the way that they were originally equipped. Most of our early combat is going to be melee, and we don't have... So this would be a really decent weapon on him, except for the fact that we're probably going to try to avoid purple and yellow challenges in the early game. Let's go ahead and throw the spear on him for now. And then we'll put the robes on the two characters that are likely to be in combat. And then we'll have to decide what to do with these. He has higher strength. I'm not likely to use him in combat. His destiny is actually a little bit better, so let's throw the wand on him. We might throw him out there with the wand. And then she's just going to be garbage right now. Maybe I switch this around. Let's put this on him and this on her, because I think it's going to be about the same, right? No, this is actually, I mean, a little bit better. It's 3 versus 4 points of damage. I'm not too worried about it. We're not going to use them in combat very much, if at all. And then we have this amber club. Another detail that's really, really helpful that I think you should start paying a lot more attention to, if you haven't already figured this out, is when you mouse over a weapon, at the top there you can see the weapon icon, and then right below it are the materials that it was made from. And one of the things that I found has been really helpful in my playthroughs is this button, which allows me to break this into pieces and collect some of those materials back. So there's been a number of situations where I'm like just a few gems shy of being able to craft something I really want, and rather than running clear across the map to find a source of gems, or using composites research to make them with coal and various other things, I can just destroy an old piece of equipment that I've been holding on to that I haven't been able to get away in a trade or anything, and break it down into its constituent materials, and then use those materials to finish my crafting. And so that's been really, really helpful. So I might be doing that with that club, depending on what we end up encountering. Alright, so I've just about prepped everything that I can. Clearly we need to get our butts moving. And what I want to do next is I want to zoom in on the map here. Whoops. Let's scroll back over here. We can see that the main island is broken into 2 pieces. A very large central piece with an interior kind of sea or lake, and then an outer piece that's much smaller and off to the south of us. My first inclination is that maybe it would be best to travel along the north and see if we can cut through into the sea. And if we cut through into the sea, we can see most of the materials that are going to be available to us on the eastern coast. Hopefully our vision extends far enough into that we can get a better idea of what the resources look like without actually going all around the whole island. And we can see the interior, and then we can cut across the land and then to that other island. So let's plan on doing that for now. And then what I want to do is, since I started with a raft and I have 4 movement points, I want to move 3 movement points as far as I can this direction, and then save my last movement point for moving into the water. Embarking and disembarking onto the ocean consumes all of your remaining movement points, but you only need 1 movement point to do it. So whenever you're planning on getting in the water, you want to move as far as you can, but save your last movement point to exit. So if we went to this tile, we would have to wait a whole nother turn to do this. But if we do it to there... Oh, this is just... I don't like this at all. Hold on a second. I changed a game setting, and I'm going to unchange it. We're going to go back to off and 60 and see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that's much snappier now. Okay, well, one thing that I just learned, don't enable VSync in this game because it makes it chug for some reason. Like worse than normal. We'll just leave it like this though. Okay, so then we have 1 point of movement left. We can get into the water right here, and that's going to end our first turn. We did see already the first village, which is good. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to gather anything right now. But being in a ship with Stribog as our god gives us extra movement. We want to get moving as fast as we can to get to some resources that are going to be helpful to us. This tile over here is looking promising. We can maybe disembark over here, collect a bunch of wood, maybe craft some basic stuff, and hopefully find some food so we can do both at the same time. If not, it's not that hard to come back down to this tile where we can collect wood and get berries, but fruit's not a particularly useful food, and it's going to be a little harder to get this time of season. One of the things I will say, if you are playing on normal, the game sort of encourages you to get some crafting done in the early game as fast as you can before winter. Winter reduces your crafting efficiency, but autumn increases it. So you do not want to be caught in a situation where you're collecting a bunch of stuff and then you sit down to craft right before autumn ends and you get into winter, because it's going to take longer for you to get that done. Whereas if you were crafting during autumn, you could kind of prepare for that. So one of the first things that I like to do is plan within the first 36 turns or so to spend some time crafting, particularly at the end of that 36 turns. When we get down to about 10 or 15 turns, we want to start finding a spot to settle down. Maybe not create a village, but definitely just start crafting whatever it is you want to craft. Your tools, your weapons, whatever you have available to you. The first thing I like to craft is a better crafting tool. And so that'll kind of be one of my first focuses. And we can get all the way to there. Same situation with being on the water. So you want to use all but your last point of movement before you get back on the shore. So we have a movement of 6 on water because there's +2 for our god trait. So we can move up to 5 tiles. And I want to try to move along the coast as much as possible so I maximize the amount of vision that I'm getting on the continent. So we're going to move to here first. Okay. Malachite's a really good tier 2 gem to start with. The thing I like about malachite is a very light material, so it's good for crafting things for characters that have low weight. It has a 0% chance of failure, so it doesn't add any chance to become a trash item other than your own ineptitude. And it's just a really good, it gives a really decent amount of essence to your items. So you can craft some really good stuff out of malachite. In fact, I found myself leaning on malachite a lot in my last playthrough. It's also relatively easy to gather. There's a point of interest over here that we might want to look into. We still have 2 points of water movement. I can move 1 point, but then I'm just going to jump here anyways. I guess we will, just to get the vision. And it didn't even give me any more vision. Okay, whatever. So this might be a good time to talk about camping. Anytime you're next to resources that you can gather in one turn, you should pretty much set up camp and do that. There are some exceptions to that. The main exception is you really got to be paying attention to your wood fuel resource and your food resource. So we're going to do a few things to alleviate both of these problems right now. We're going to cook some food with the food that I set aside earlier, and then we're going to gather a bunch of wood, and that's going to give us a little bit more time to search before we have to settle. When I say settle, I don't mean settle a village. I mean just settle down and gather supplies and restock. One of the things that we can do is we know there's at least one spot over here right next to this village, which should be relatively safe for us to collect wood, collect berries. We won't die if we're sitting over here. We're just kind of wasting time because we're not getting anything real efficient. But we could survive if we can get back to this tile, even if things are really tough. So this is kind of our home base. We want to extend out about 5 turns or so and then come back. But we're going to make those timers a little bit longer than 5 turns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up a camp. We're going to get some wood, but before we do that, I think we're going to spend our first point on malachite. Just a really good. Another thing to keep in mind that I often forgot initially in my playthrough several times, when you, I'll show you. When you pick up a resource, it's not going to show it now. When you pick up a resource in your research, it explicitly tells you that you get 10 of it for free. So whenever you research something, you get a little bit. So if you're in a situation where you're like, man, oh, there's a really good source of that, and if I had just a few more of those, I could build a really cool tool. This is, your opportunity to utilize that free 10. So we got 10 of these now for free. We're going to be able to mine some more of these before we're done. We're going to spend a few turns here collecting wood and malachite and cooking up our food supplies. So let's get back to here and let's start with the cooking. We don't know a lot of good recipes and we don't have a lot of meat, but we're going to at least get 1 batch of rouladas, and we're going to take 8 food and we're going to create, I believe it's 16. 12. Okay, so it increases the quantity of food by about 50%. So we take 8 pieces of total food and create 1 new source, but we have 12 per time. We need a couple of people to do this, unless we put this guy who is our crafter. He's exceptionally good at crafting. And notice this is his crafting stat, but his crafting stat is actually going to be modified when he's applied to a job by a number of factors. One of those factors is autumn, so this number is actually going to be multiplied by 25%, which is why you're seeing 122 here. Instead of the normal 98. And then in addition to that, if a resource, for example, these berries, are at a disadvantage for gathering, then that gets modified again by whatever that rate is. So this would be like a 75% gathering, and this would affect the gathering right now. The wood and the seaweed would not be affected because you can see their bar is full and is green. In the wintertime, this becomes more important to pay attention to. So what looks like might be a normal gathering rate over here, when you apply it, it's not going to actually be as good. So we want to get wood every turn, so I'm going to put her on wood, and then I'm going to get these 2 over here, and we're not going to get a lot of malachite right now. 5 turns is a long time to wait. But we're going to go ahead and do that. And then Let's see if we can craft anything. So some gathering tools would be nice. We do have enough leather and enough malachite to craft something. We don't have enough of these materials yet. We did start with some steel, and so using a research point to unlock steel and get the free 10 would allow us to maybe do something here once we get a little bit stone, or maybe some more malachite. In fact, that might be the way we want to go. So let's go ahead and design something out of steel. Let's do like a steel malachite. I could get up to 133% crafting with this. That's pretty good. Also, 0% to trash. So we'll still have some chance of making trash out of this item when we do craft it, but it'll be a lot lower than it could be if we used the wild or improved resources. So I think this might be what we want to do. Get this crafting tool made, and then we can use that crafting tool to make better. The other one we could do is, we have enough leather and enough malachite. I'm one leather shy of being able to do. Yeah. Just one leather shy, I think. Let's go back to my inventory real quick. Yeah, I need... If I could find one leather, that'd be really great. But we definitely going to have to get some more malachite. And that's only going to move me up to 18... Or sorry, 17 steel, and I needed 18 to get that tool. Okay. Well, we got a lot of things to get done before we can worry about any of that. So let's go ahead and end a few turns here. I'm not sure that I'm gonna... Do I really want to stay here 5 turns? 5 turns is probably too long. Three turns sounds more reasonable, but I don't get as much wood. 5 turns, 4 turns. This sounds more reasonable. Okay, so we'll get 1 collection of malachite and 2 collections of wood if we do it this way. I'll also get the meat cooked up, and then he'll be free, and we can see if maybe moving him to something makes sense. One thing that you can always throw extra people on is research. So if you have somebody who's not doing anything, throw them on research. The downside is you have to completely fill this up before you get the point, and if you break camp before it's completed, you lose all progress, which is really frustrating. Okay. Getting some resources from this guy would be very helpful if we can make this work out for us. Okay, we hear a guy. He's calling for help. Get some ropes out and throw them to the man. Ignore the cries. Ask why he's here alone if he claims. Yeah, let's ask him. Okay. Get some ropes out and throw the line down. Pull him out. We did. Okay, we got the snake out, so... Took a little damage, no big deal. Call out to him. Pull him out. This time we pull out a bear. Let's fight the bear. This shouldn't be that hard of a fight. Auto-resolve says it's a very hard fight. Okay, let's manually resolve this. The bear is 1 card. We get the first action, he gets the last. We know the first thing we want to put down is this character. However, he has first strike, so maybe we don't want to throw him out first. Who has the slowest attack of all of our starting characters? Probably she does. He has a hunter's mark, which is actually pretty useful. She does not have much of anything. Let's throw her attack out there first. I don't know that it matters which one of these tiles we put her in. I'll put her in that one first. Alright, the bear only has 21 hit points. We got 7 damage on him. We have 2 points, so I can put out 2 characters. Let's start with the poke attack from the spear, and that will help soften him up. And then we'll add the archer's attack here. Alright, so now we're getting down to where we're going to have to start spending more action points. This bear does 17 per swing. I want at least 1 swing going on to this guy, which is going to happen. Because I can't kill this bear fast enough before he gets that first attack off. But right now we have 7 and 6. So that's... And then this guy's swing should kill the bear. So right now the bear's going to get 2 swings off for sure. How fast is this? So that's going to go after the second attack, but that would actually kill the bear, I believe. I'm not sure that I can do better than that. Her attack would be about the same. So let's do that, and then let's use our hunter's mark to lower the damage of the bear attack. Well, that didn't do much. I guess that we'll just end the turn with 1 point because she doesn't have an ability I can use that's worthwhile. So we should get hit 1 time by this bear. I don't suppose it matters which one they attack, so... And then that should kill him. Yep. Okay. Well, that worked. We took 5 damage, not a lot. So the bear's dead. We got some resources from the bear. We've killed the snake, we've killed the bear. Alright, we pull the guy out. And then he runs off without a thank you. Alright, we'll run into this guy again.
So, as tradition has it, your god sent me...
Yep, we gotta cook some food, which we've already done. We had a couple of turns So we wanted to do 3 more turns of gathering. So that's 1 turn of gathering. Here's 2.
Yummy! Well done! And here...
And 2 turns of gathering. We need to reassign our cook. We did get some more meat, so actually we did make some more of these. But we're out of meat now, so that's fine. Let's just double check. Yeah, we don't want to be eating these. We just made 19 of those, and we got some of that, so that's good. Wood's going up, so that's good. Theodore wants us to head over here, so we're going to go grab both of these points of interest when we're done collecting the next 2 turns. But while we're collecting the next 2 turns, let's check. He's got a gathering of 57. I could put him on that, and this might be enough to get 1 extra gathering of wood, but it probably won't be. But we'll see. We did. We got 2. So that's good. Wood's up to 25, food's up to 16, and we have more food if we decide to uncheck those other boxes. We could stretch that out a little longer, but as long as I can cook with those materials, I would rather not be eating them. We'll just continue to amplify our food abundance with that. We could uncheck those just to get the morale bonus growing faster, but I'm not too concerned about that. Let's check this. So 1 more turn, yeah, and we just barely going to be able to get an extra gathering of wood this last turn. So we got 2 last time. We'll get 1 more, and then we'll get 1 load of malachite is all. We definitely need to get some gathering tools. That will help. A single spider, we could auto-resolve that. And we got 1 piece of meat. A little bit of XP. Is that... Okay, we're done gathering then. We're not going to gather any more. Is that enough food to cook again? No, we're 1 short. Okay. So definitely time to move on. So let's break camp. And we'll travel over here. Some old ruins. Another group is already there. We can attack them, we can investigate, or we can leave. Let's investigate and see who they are. Looks like they're scavengers. I don't really want to offer them a deal. Killing them doesn't seem like something that my chosen would be asked to do. Let's see if we can just intimidate them. Let's try this manually and see. Actually, yeah, let's try it. I'm not very good at these yellow challenges, but there are a few abilities and cards that I found that are really helpful. Unfortunately, we don't have high enough levels in anything for any of it to be relevant, so let's sort of play the same way we did last time. Oh yeah, I forgot we had different attacks this time. Boy, the damage is way lower. This adds a small delay and a very tiny amount of damage. Lowers combat attribute by 0.4. This skill, when it's leveled up, is super powerful in these types of challenges, but more so the concept challenges. But really any challenge where they don't have a lot of characters. Yeah, let's put this out here and see what he does. Alright, so he's got 2 copies of this. These are 2 different character cards. least I think they are. It's different damage values for them. Hmm. 8 damage. That'll barely break our shield. My damage... What was this guy's damage again? 5? Okay. Man, her damage is really low. And he doesn't have his spear. Nor does he have his armor. This is interesting. This is a hammer attack. That actually works really well here. Unfortunately, he's very likely to get smacked and die if we're not careful. Okay, I want to use this hammer attack, but I'm going to have to use it at the very end, and only... Do we get the last turn? We don't. We're going to try to use this and not get our kid killed. But that's one way we might be able to actually pull this off. I'm going to have to use this guy again. Let's try putting it here and see what he does. Okay, so he's got the duplicate copies down now. And he's playing a card with Strength of the Swarm, so the damage is increasing. He's not going to be able to play too many more copies. Alright. I don't have anybody that can play from the back row. She can play from the back row. He can't, but he has a large health pool. He's going to potentially get hit twice. Yeah, we're going to have to. I'm going to save my last point to give me 3. And then we'll just see what happens here. Okay. So this one has 2 copies down, but it does 11 damage. Which means I'm not going to be able to play this kid's hammer attack. I needed to be able to play it in a spot where he was unlikely to get attacked. I mean, this would be the ideal spot, but he would take 14 damage. Which means my only option is to either play him again or play her. I could also play this. I could play 3 and 2. That gives me 5 damage. Versus his 5 damage. So the same amount of damage, but it's going to be spread out over more characters. And I can play his Hunter's Mark, which isn't going to have a huge impact on anybody. But I might be able to get his attack off before these go. So I play Hunter's Mark here. And that does get him ahead of one of those two attacks. Alright. Ugh. Well, that was unfortunate. Alright, that should end this. Yeah, there's really no point in doing much else. This is how you use Hunter's Mark when it's leveled up. You just make somebody's attack equal to 0, and then all copies of it basically have no attack power. Alright. Well, that sort of sucked. Everybody's really hurt. We might lose somebody to death. We did find some decent loot. Well, nothing really decent though. Not worth the risk of death. I don't have enough movement to get to anything good. So maybe we just sit here one more turn and gather wood. We're gonna be here for a couple turns. Let's plan on being here for 3 turns. And then let's cook some more food. We have enough to cook 4 times. Hello. There we go. So 4 turns worth of cooking will get this done, I think. Hold on a second. If I just throw him on this, that guarantees that gets done in 1 turn. Alright, let's go with this. We're going to be here for at least 3 turns. And cross your fingers and hope we don't lose anybody. Okay, everybody leveled up, so that's a good sign. This character's going for more strength. This character's going to go for more perception. This is going to be our warrior. So, yep, strength. This is going to be our hunter. And then we're going to go for more perception for gathering. Confirm. Let's check the cooking and see if we have any more cooking we can do. So we could do 1 more round of cooking. But we don't need... Let me go back to gathering real quick. Yeah, let's just leave it then. And just out of curiosity, go back to the equipment screen. Was this crossbow good enough to replace the one that he's using? It is identical to the one he is using, so no. However, we could give it to her if it's not too heavy, and it is not. And this might be a better weapon. I mean, it's definitely a better weapon for her in red challenges. But man, she just got walloped. I totally wasn't paying attention. That enemy scavenger was a marksman, and so a marksman is able to target any target that he wishes unless there's a melee character in front of his tile. So it would have behooved me to put a melee character in front of him just to force the hit on a particular target of my choice instead of a target of his choice, because he correctly took her out right away before she got to do anything. This amber artifact is definitely better than that, right? No. These are actually identical. They just look different. And this is made of amber. Okay. We are about an hour in, so we're going to do another hour. This will be a 2-hour video. I think I'm going to break it into 2 separate videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream just momentarily, go grab a drink, then I'm going to come back and we'll do part 2 of this 2-hour stream today. Kind of a rough start to begin with, to be perfectly honest. Not ideal. We're just not having a lot of things go our way, but if we could get through another turn or 2 of health restoration without losing a character, we might be able to recover. Otherwise, we might be starting a new game. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I'll be right back, and we'll be starting part 2 of this 2-hour stream today.